Hello, and welcome to my studio. My name is Julia Kelly. I am a collage artist, an art educator, and a new cross-stitch designer. And it is, Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. And this is my 8th Floss Tube Artist Tube edition. And I don't know about you, but everybody headed out. My husband went off to work, and I know this is Tuesday, but frankly, this is the mother of all Mondays in the way I feel. It's just me and the dog again in the log house. I'm in Southwest Colorado, and yeah, I just did my morning stitching, and then I kind of just, I made smoothies for him and I, because we both feel like we haven't had a vegetable in I don't know how long, and this is amazing for me, but when carbs seem to be like, ugh, that tells you how many carbs I've eaten in the past 2 weeks. So I was just pondering on the couch. I kind of perused Instagram and tried to catch up on, what everybody else is doing YouTube wise and stuff. And then I thought, I know it's Tuesday, and I was looking in my studio. Like right out that door is our great room of our log house, where the main hub of the house is. So I was looking in the studio, and I just thought to myself, I need to do a reset on my studio and basically clean it up. And I also just, after 2 weeks of everybody was here. I mean, both my kids were home, the new husband was here, 4 dogs. What you doing? Who you looking for? Are you looking for your girlfriend? My mother came down for the last probably almost 2 weeks, maybe, dang close to 2 weeks. We live in Southwest Colorado. I literally can look out at Mesa Verde National Park out my window, and we renovated a homestead and have a second house. This was the new farmhouse in the 1930s that we renovated and is a vacation rental. So we were spread out between 2 houses, and she comes with her car with just loaded, like she'll say she doesn't, I don't have an egg beater. I use a fork. I mean, in my mind, a fork is just as well as an egg beater, but she comes with her own things, her own kitchen things that we like. We are both big cooks and bakers, bread bakers. So I was trying to think up how many versions of bread that we made between the 2 of us in the holiday time. I think she came with, we call it Sistekog. We are Danish. My mother's family is Danish Dane. Well, her mother's family. Her father was Scott Irish, but her mother line is Danish, and we've always called it Sistekog for years, for decades, and just was in like the last 6 years, I realized that our Sistekog family recipe is actually Julkog, Julcog, Julkog, which is the Danish bread. How it morphed from Julkog into Sistekog, my theory is that it was like, you hear Spanglish, it was like a Danglish thing. It was half English, half Danish, that my grandmother's generation did, where it was kind of like Krista, Christmas, and then cog is kind of like cake, Danish. So kind of morphed into Sistekog, and I'm not saying it the way that my grandmother said it. She kind of did an extra little thing when she said it. We spell it Sistacog, but it's the sweet, it's the enriched dough. So it's your typical, like if you do Italian, oh, what do they call it? I'll put the names up here. It's a very similar dough to all of the nationality sweet bread, like a sweet fancy bread, but it's enriched butter, sugar, milk, rich butter, sugar, milk dough. And then it has dried fruit in it, dried raisins. And then we put like fancy sugar on the top of it. Like my mom for Christmas will put colored sugar. I think some traditionally do the, the pour like cinnamon roll top, powdered sugar goop. I call it goop because I hate it. I know it's not the name of it. But yeah, but my mom says my great grandmother would do it in a wreath shape, a circle shape, and then she would put the goop on top of it. But it can also just be called raisin bread. But it has I learned how to make it from my grandmother, who learned how to make it from her mother. My mom version is slightly different than the way my grandma taught me how to make it. And now in my 50 plus years, I now make it, I kind of have tried to take it back a little bit more towards my great grandmother. Like instead of cinnamon, I like to use cardamom in mine. Instead of just raisins, I cut up apricots, the fancy multicolored raisins, and sometimes cranberries cut up in mine. And then my grandma taught, you can make it in a loaf pan, but my grandma taught me how she would have a mixture of butter, melted butter and Crisco on her countertop and kind of spread it out like you're making cinnamon rolls, and then roll that and then do it on a sheet pan. So it's kind of like it's a national tradition, but I think every family makes it different. But let's just say that came cooked. Like I am allergic to dairy. My daughter is gluten-free. She can't have wheat. So then throw that into the mix. So then my mom came with that. And then before everybody else got here, because apparently we don't know what else to do with our time, I keep telling her she needs to find, she's not really into hand stitching. I kind of I'm hoping she kind of goes that way, but she'll just make bread for fun. And she made, just got a kick, and she made a rye bread that had a lot of anise in it, and rye flour. And so her, me, and my husband were here for a couple days before the kids got here. And so we had homemade rye bread, Sisticog. Then then she made an apple pie from, this is all from scratch. She made an apple pie just for my husband before the kids got here. Then the kids got here, and she made a pecan pie, because that's what me and my new son-in-law like. And then she had found out a way in her just perusing that that you can make pie crust cookies, which my daughter that is gluten-free absolutely loves. And we really haven't found a good gluten-free version of pie crust that we like. And this new one is and I've seen it other places, you use vodka. And there's something about using the vodka that just helps. So she made gluten-free pie crust with vodka for my other daughter. Then there's also we call them Brazilian cheese muffins bread. I can't have them because they have a lot of cheese and whole milk in them. But they're really great gluten-free, because I think we just use the Bob Mill 1-to-1. So she made that for my daughter. We had that one night with cocktails. And then while she was doing that, I made, we've kind of morphed into this Christmas donuts. And I think the reason it happened is I would make a batch back to this sweet enriched dough. It's the same dough. You can make the dough that I make for the Sisticog. You can you make that same dough for something like Sisticog, cinnamon rolls, donuts. It's all that could be the same dough. So how did we do it? She made rolls. Oh, and then Christmas Eve, my husband makes a stew, and she made sweet rolls, just dinner rolls. But she cut it in half, and then she brought up to me half the sweet roll dough that she was going to make for rolls for Christmas Eve. And then I made donuts, pressed them out and made donuts. And donuts are great to make the day before. You just put them on a kind of oil a cookie sheet, and you can put them in your fridge. Christmas Day morning, you pull them out, let them warm up a bit, and then you fry them. So you don't have to do anything Christmas Day. So I made normal donuts for Christmas Day, but then with my daughter, again, who is gluten-free, I've clued into Japanese milk bread. And it's a bread that has like a kind of a pudding that you make with milk and flour that kind of is gelatinous, and it somehow just helps it taste more like bread. And I don't want to have this be a baking gluten-free channel, so I'm trying to go really fast. But so then I made those, and then I figured out if you put them in popover pans, the sides kind of help it grow higher. So then for rolls, for dinner rolls for my gluten-free daughter, I had 6 popover rolls. And then the other half of that Japanese milk bread recipe, I put in a baggie, put that in the fridge. And then Christmas morning, when we're done opening up presents, we have Sisticog, I fry donuts, and then I squeeze out from this Ziploc. I cut just a hole in the corner and squeeze out plops in the hot oil. And then she's thrilled because it's the only time of the year that she gets to eat donut holes. Which I gotta say, for, if you had real donuts and these Japanese gluten-free milk bread donuts, of course but they're pretty good. So then about that time, we used to always make a potato quiche for Christmas Day. And I thought, who in the heck is going to want potatoes? So then I kind of polled everybody, and everybody was like, yeah. So all I did was I had bacon. I had a sheet of bacon, and then I dropped eggs in muffin tins. So they were like slightly poached kind of. And people who wanted little eggs and bacon with their donuts for Christmas Day morning. And then we, we kind of just veg Christmas Day. And then again, just because I like polling what everybody wants. For years, the vote has been for fondue for Christmas evening, oil fondue. But again, we have, gluten-free, dairy-free issues. So it turned into 3 fondue pots. Yeah, we have 3 fondue pots going. We have a oil one that nobody puts bread in. So it's just, we do raw shrimp, raw pieces of steak, mushrooms in the oil. That's like, cooking at the table. And then I have a cheese dip for me that I figured out. A lot of dairy-free people, a lot of people allergic to dairy, can eat Parmesan because it, like the real Parmesan, the expensive on the wedge Parmesan. I have to see it be grated off the wedge because I don't believe that if it's like pre-grated, it doesn't have milk in it. But yeah, it doesn't bug me. I just found that out about 3 or 4 months ago. I was like, I've heard it for a while, but I was just like, I don't know if I want to trust my constitution to that. But yeah, I've been fine. I mean, I don't think you could gorge off of it, as a treat. So I'm trying to perfect a Parmesan, and then a trick that a lot of people that have dairy issues use is nutritional yeast. It kind of has a little bit of a cheesy taste to it. So, and then also red peppers, like sauteed red peppers have, again, that little satiated kind of it just makes you think you're eating cheese. So I made a pretty dang good cheese sauce with that and coconut milk. Not the carton, but the canned, expensive, real straight coconut milk. So yeah, we've been evolving a lot of these recipes for a while, but so then we had fondue. And then, and then the 26th, vegging, 27th is when everybody divided and headed out to all places. Took my daughter back to Albuquerque. We meander to Santa Fe. There's 2 different routes we can take. One is through the Navajo Reservation and through Cuba, which has amazing, I think I shared this before, amazing, like just made tortilla, grilled, beans and all kinds of meat choices in the back of a very sketchy looking gas station. So we like to eat that way, one way. And then the other way we can go is through Pagosa Springs, which is like we're more Mesa Verde Cortez, and then you go towards Durango, and then you go towards Pagosa. That's all Colorado, and then you go into New Mexico near Chama, and then you go towards Santa Fe. And that one you go through Abiquiu, which if you're familiar with Georgia O'Keeffe, she Ghost Ranch, that's where she discovered New Mexico. And then they have a gas station there that's not sketchy, it's really cool. It's called Bodie's. And you go in there, and they're literally like right in Abiquiu is all the Georgia O'Keeffe history. So there's a Georgia O'Keeffe Center near there, like in Abiquiu. Abiquiu itself is a Spanish colony settled by the conquistadors that came and got land grants. This is a long history, a couple hundred years ago. And so you can drive up, there's chapels, it's called Penitent, and they're the ones that do pilgrimages. You'll see in New Mexico that still beat their backs with chains, and I could do a whole thing on that. But you can drive up there and see some of those chapels and come down. And then this Bodie has unbelievable tamales and grab and go Mexican food. So she wanted to go that way, so we stopped and got tamales at Bodie's. It's kind of fun. We ate them on the hood of our truck, and green chilies, and then went into Santa Fe and timed it. Downtown Santa Fe, there's a restaurant that's very famous called The Shed. It is right catty corner to St. Francis Cathedral. That is infamous. They're very well known for their pozole, which is a hominy stew, and their food is just phenomenal. But it's really hard to get into. But kind of we learned some tricks through the years. You can make reservations weeks ahead. We never plan ahead that far. So you can hop in there in a wait list an hour before lunch and an hour before dinner. And so if you know how to time it, you can be first in line and get on their wait list and get a table early. So we were able to get a 5 o'clock table, and she got to eat at The Shed. And then yum. I mean, the whole thing is just yum. They have garlic bread that I can eat because the butter doesn't really have dairy in it. But yeah, very good food. And then while we were walking downtown Santa Fe, I peeked into St. Francis, the cathedral. And if you don't know, cathedrals can be in tiny towns because a cathedral means that there is a bishop seated in that town. So wherever that bishop is residing for that geographical area is allowed to have a cathedral. So Santa Fe was the center of the Spanish Catholic area. But here's some video of me coming in to the cathedral, and it was all decked out in poinsettias and Christmas decorations, and the whole thing is just absolutely gorgeous. And then I kind of strolled around. I'm just going off the top of my head. I might have to pause my audio here, but then I will show right here. This is a section that is the oldest when Santa Fe was first settled. Long history back and forth between the Spanish and then the local native Pueblo population, battling and fighting each other literally at that spot. Palace of the Governors is where it was taken over back and forth. I don't know how many times, but eventually they did conquer, because that's the word, that the Spanish did subdue and conquer the native Pueblonians, and they built this cathedral. But it was a church first, it was a chapel first, and then a church, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. But this little chapel is the oldest surviving section, and I think I'm spanning up to show the ceiling and the carvings on the ceiling and stuff, which is considered the oldest part of But yeah, but it was a really pretty, I could go in there 100 times and just sit and zoom in on something else in St. Francis. But yeah, we got to walk around Santa Fe, and then we drove to Albuquerque and settled into the hotel with the dog. Dog came with us, and then my husband and her headed out at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then, like I said, we got back Thursday, and no snow. None. I'm looking out at brown, not even mud, like it's dried up. Whatever was wet from a previous snow, it's gone. I think we're supposed to get something like on Wednesday. So hopefully we will, because it does not, I have a new release to release end of this week, and it's all wintry and snowy, and I'm like this, I wanted to take a picture of it. I thought, oh, I'll just take it, I'll go out, to advertise it and take a picture of it in a snow pile. We have no snow. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting if by Friday I'm releasing this wintry Colorado view and there's no snow. But Friday, I don't know. I just, enjoyed just sitting and being quiet on Friday. My husband did go back to work and try and get some work done. And then boom, it was the weekend. So he was around all weekend. I did Kia Bee's my version of Kia Bee's 12x12. How fun was that? I mean, I'm telling you, like between that and the Jingle Ball. But I was like, well, I don't know how I could do the 12x12, because one, I don't have whip. I mean, I do have whips in a way, because I have designs at different stages, but it's nothing I can share. I'm not going to show. Well, I didn't think I could show. I've kind of figured some things out since then. So what I decided to do is to take something small that I will be releasing in my Primitive Animals series. I've done, it's the cookie cutter. I'll put a picture up of my horse that is up on my Etsy shop, which is, oh God, my brain is like fudge jello. What's it called? Moonflower. No, that's not it. MF Studio Stitch is my Etsy shop. And I will have those things listed here. My website is moonflowerstudio.biz. And you can get to my Etsy through that too. But I have, in my applique work, I have done, and I have nothing in reach of me right now. I have done a lot of animals in cookie cutters. You can see my stash of cookie cutters up there. Like horses or, turkey. I did a turkey. That's up on my Etsy store. And so I'm continuing. I have more animals through the spring and summer and what I'm doing is sizing them, usually mostly on 18 count, to then fit into the vintage cookie cutters that you can find like in antique malls, but also doing a pillow. So you can see, oh, well, if I don't want to deal with a cookie cutter, I can do it as a pillow. But so I have two that I'm going to release summer. Well, they're summer-ish, so they'll be released like late spring. And I thought, oh, well, they're pretty fast, so I'll just stitch one of those. And I have started doing one of my coolest, funnest settling things I have done in 2023 is morning stitching. And I literally mean, like, I'm a morning person, so I get up I wake up without an alarm. This is from my mother. And I've totally corrupted my husband. And the dog. If we don't get up, the dog gets us up. 5 o'clock. Hopefully 5 o'clock. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, is it 5 o'clock? And so usually what I do is I lay in bed and I look at my phone. I let myself look at my phone until 6. And then I get up I don't drink coffee. I don't do caffeine. I take a shower at 6 o'clock in the morning. And you want to talk about something that will wake you up? That I think is probably better than coffee. But yeah, so I get up, get my shower, walk out to our great room that is kind of cool now because it's so dark. Like, if you're like walking out into, your living room at 6 o'clock in June, it's pretty, there's some light, but it's pitch black still here at 6 o'clock in the morning. But our new wood stove has a window. And so my husband has been up and he started a fire. So the whole room is just like flickering light. And now it's flickering the Christmas tree and it's flickering all the Christmas decorations. And it's pretty magical. So yeah, so I get up and I just, my stitchy spot is really comfy with, some throw blankets and some, comfy pillows. And the dog decides if she's gonna curl up near me, or my husband's office is upstairs where our larger TV room den is, and his office is in there. Same scenario, couch and stuff. So she's either up there curled up on a couch by him or down curled up on the couch by me. And I stitch until 9 o'clock. I usually make breakfast for the both of us, eggs or a smoothie or something. But I get a stitch like almost, 6:30, 7:30, like 2 hours. By the time I get up and move laundry or make a breakfast or something, I'm getting 2 good solid hours of stitching it. And I've been putting it up on Instagram stories, which I, for the longest time, did not understand. I just was like, I don't get it. I mean, I'm pretty computer savvy. I mean, I have to be. Adobe and websites and stuff and new tech, new ways of doing things. But there's some things that just, your thought process, I was like, I don't understand. But what I did find, I am figuring out Instagram stories, and I'll put my header, oh my gosh, my name, which is the same for Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. I was cleaning up my Pinterest board over the holiday, and I want to start utilizing it more for the cross stitch. But it's Moonflower Muse. And I thought, stories go away. Like, they go away in 24 hours. Like, they disappear. And I thought, what a great place to show what I'm working on. I mean, I can't show it in a video if it's being released in 2 months or 6 months or a year from now. I can't post it as a post or a reel on Instagram or Facebook because, again, I don't really want everybody, I don't want it like there to be a record out there. So I thought, hey, we'll post what I'm working on. I mean, I try and do it in a way where, for a long time, you might not really know what it is. It's kind of like a slow reveal to what it is. But so for the New Year's 12 by 12 that Kia B did, I was like, well, that works perfect. I'll just post, for 12. So I did 12 posts in 12 hours. Of this animal that I will be releasing. It's half of what I'll be releasing for spring. Well, again, see, this spring and summer, I'm like, I'm not going to do 4th of July stitching. It's just not my mojo. Like, animals are, and I have so many animal things and so many not holiday animals. Like farm animals, I could do a whole year of farm animals. So in my head, I'm like, well, that's my spring and summer. It's just animals. Really, it's my thing until I get those out, because I have quite, well, I will be stitching people Christmas of next year. So my plan right now is I will have people Christmas and people winter. But until then, I think it's all animals, which I know is not a bad thing, because people don't do as many animals, as that kind of surprises me. But yeah, so I like, and if you followed me, Kia B was so generous. I mean, she just was really very inclusive and really included everybody, and she just, I don't think she stitched a lot, which I kind of felt bad about. But again, like, just such a gracious, generous person to do that. Because it was one of the nice, being a person who gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I go to bed at 8, like 7 o'clock, I'm thinking of going to bed, and the joke is that I'll say, I'm going to go on my bed and read a book, or I'm going to, be stitching, but 7:30, I'm wanting to curl up and basically go to sleep. So yeah, obviously New Year's Eve has never been a highlight to me. It's the running joke. I don't drink. I don't drink because I literally just can't seem to get a drink down. Like I don't like I just don't like the taste of a lot of liquor. And the party atmosphere, I'm just thinking I want a couch and a pillow and a good movie and a bowl of popcorn. And I've just always been like that. So, so this was like one of the nicest New Year's Eves I probably have done. Like, I can only say that, well, it was nice because I was with my husband. Having my kids here too would have made it a nicer New Year's Eve. Believe me, we are, we're not anywhere near exciting enough for New Year's, but yeah, so it was real. I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, so that was really fun. And I actually got the whole animal done. I didn't get the background done. So yeah, it was really nice. And our last, and if, like, I don't know when I'm going to post this. No, this is about stories that messes me up. They're only up for 24 hours, but if you do several like bits in that story, they gradually drop away. So like in that 12-hour period, like this morning, so that was New Year's Eve. This is the second. New Year's Day, we drove up to Telluride, where there still was no snow. I mean, it was, it's just Colorado, But so we went up to Telluride, went to lunch, in the Strong House, which is a newly renovated brewery up there. That is my husband says is a really good beer. I don't drink, so I don't know. But what's funny is it's definitely a brewery menu. It's called the Strong House. It's a very long railroad warehousey looking. Telluride was mining. It was mining, and then a railroad came in to haul out the ore. So a lot of the buildings have a very industrial looking mining look to them. But it's all made of stone. Renovated it gorgeously. Like, I should take some pictures of it. They did a really good job. But it had brats and corned beef and sauerkraut. And I don't really like sauerkraut. Like, I didn't think I liked sauerkraut. But again, when you're allergic to dairy, a lot of the stuff falls off possibility. So I ended up getting a corned beef sandwich with their house apple cider sauerkraut. And it was good. Like, it wasn't real sauerkrauty tasting, but I just ended up not doing the bun. So it was just corned beef with some stone ground mustard and then the sauerkraut that I just cut up and ate. And then their French fries are really good. So we did that yesterday. None of us had energy. We just kind of looked at each other and we're like, well, let's just drive home. It's a beautiful drive, so it was fun. But yeah, so that was yesterday. And I was going to tell you something else about Telluride. We went up there. There's no snow. It's gone. Whoosh. I do have notes. Let's see. So I did tell you floss tube. I told you the date. I told you how I'm doing my floss tube on Tuesday because this feels like the mother of all Mondays. I called my daughter because I had a question about Instagram and I thought, will know this? And so I explained, it's like, why is this coming up on my Instagram? And she was walking into work and I said, man, isn't this the mother of all Mondays? She goes, it's Tuesday. I said, I know it's Tuesday, but it just feels like a Monday. Talked about Kia Bee's great New Year's Eve festivities and how if you want to do a sneak peek of my work, follow me on Instagram and check out my stories. I usually try and do those Monday through Friday to see a little thing of maybe what might be coming. And I miss my kids. It's a very quiet, cricket sounding day. That's why I decided to start a YouTube. I do have a new release and I do have hopes, goals, whatever you want to call them, for the new year. I'm hoping to kind of do a couple floss tubes this week, I guess I would say. And then the last one would be my regular Saturday morning floss tube. The reason I'm going to do a couple, or this is my thinking, is I don't really do goals for the 2024 or goals for the future. I kind of take the by the grace of God go I. I have hopes. I have places I hope I land, by the end of the year. But what works better for me is what is called a reset. And if you get on YouTube and you just search reset, it can mean a variety of things. I think there's a group of ladies who do it. If they're working ladies, they might reset. Usually it's a Sunday reset where they will make meals for the week. They'll clean up their house. They'll get their grocery shopping done. They'll just kind of clear the palette, clear the deck to be ready for the next week. And my brain works that way, where I just reset again for the next week, like in my my day timer. And the weeks I do that, like I just reset and kind of get things back where they need to be to start again, works really well for me. I also do that at the end of projects. When I do art projects or when I finish something, I'm not really concerned about pulling stuff out and dropping them in a pile while I'm doing a project. But I really like to, when that project is finished, I like to reset my studio. So then I go in and I just put everything away, sort everything, get things back where they belong before I start a new project. And that has really worked for me well. And I don't know if you can tell, like that is my step ladder that's out in the middle of the room. There's a pile there. I'm circled by piles. So this week I want to do a studio reset. That's why I'm really getting on to do a floss tube today, which is now 44 minutes. And I also don't want to spend my time this week editing and making my videos really pretty, other than putting the video in like I just talked about. So I'm hoping to get these up by the next morning is my hope. So I thought, well, I could listen to crickets and nothing going on and no one to really talk to for the whole week, get everything back to where it needs to be, and then film a floss tube on Friday to show you my new releases. And then I thought, well, I might go stir crazy if I go from interacting as much as I've interacted for the past 2 weeks down to just utter silence. So I decided, well, why don't I film my studio reset? Like I kind of want to share my studio and how I store stuff, and some other people have been doing that, organizing, tips. And I thought, well, it's not the worst thing in the world to do first of the year when people are thinking of organization and how that they do things. So I thought, well, yeah, why not? I'll just, I'll reset my studio in chunks, bits, and film those and kind of put them up. I've also think I kind of have a filming structure that I'm going to try for the first of the year. I really like doing this once a week. Like it really helps me, my brain and everything. Like I've said before, being by myself in my studio from Monday to Friday, I get a little stir crazy. So I think I want to do a traditional floss tube traded with an educational. I think I mentioned I'm an art teacher. Like I've taught art for about 20 years. So I always, I just have a teacher head. I easily fall into trying to teach something when I'm not even really meaning to. So I have some ideas that I want to teach, or tutorials, through video. Playlists, so like I'll make a playlist that literally says, studio reset. I'm going to start with my floss reset, and I will show you what I'm dealing with. That is literally a combination of getting new floss in and a project and wanting to change out how I store my floss. And then in my head thinking, well, why would I put it away if I'm just going to pull it out to then restore it? So I shouldn't tell you what I'm doing. My new plan for this. I should stop this video. Okay, so I'm going to end this floss tube number 8, which I'll consider kind of a recap of my Christmas and Happy New Year. I definitely wanted to thank Kia B for what a great idea and what graciousness to, something to do on New Year's Eve. It was very fun. And to say, if you do want to kind of get a sneak peek of what I am designing for 2024, start following my Instagram, which is Moonflower Muse. Facebook is Moonflower Muse. Pinterest is Moonflower Muse. My studio, my website is moonflowerstudio.biz. And you're on my YouTube, which is Moonflower Musings. I always can't remember if it's like plural or one. I think I have more than one musings, so it's with an S. But and also just thank you so much for the encouragement I've gotten, and the subscribers I've gotten. And if you want to subscribe, that's wonderful. That would help me out a bunch. And yeah, so I'm going to stop this one, and then, since I'm in the mode, start again with how I am going to finish how I'm going to reset my reset video for my studio. I'm going to start with resetting and reorganizing my floss. So have a great day. And if you're still interested, hopefully I will have more videos for you this week.